I usually start from just like, what's just the simple version of like your upbringing, your childhood, and how you found acting in the first place?
My upbringing, oh my gosh. I was born in Brazil. So when I moved to America, I was only 6 years old. So I didn't know the language, I didn't know English yet.
It's coming along nicely.
And thank you. I've
Yeah.
been really working so hard on it for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's funny you say that because like I really used to get made fun of a lot. Like, I think like a lot of immigrants, immigrant kids when they get here, we don't know the language. And so like you can tell that kids are poking fun at you even if you can't understand what they're saying. So that was really hard. And so I was raised with my mom and my who I consider my father. He kind of helped my mom bring me to the United States because my mom came first without me. So when I finally came, I came home basically is how I feel like my life really started when I like started, living in America.
You've seen Sicario, right?
No. I
No?
mean,
Oh, it's really good. You have to watch Sicario.
I have, but
Um,
maybe it was years ago.
so a friend of mine plays like the drug lord in it that like Benicio del Toro has a showdown with at the end, and he came on the podcast. Like he was one of my very first guests, and he was an immigrant as well when he was, I think, around the same age that you were. And it was a similar situation where his mother, she was a single mother raising him, met someone else. He helped them come to America, and that's his father. That's the person who raised him.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a similar thing, but one thing that I talked about with him was even though he was young, being an immigrant, just having that knowledge as he grew up, there was a bit of, kind of this need to constantly prove himself to
Yeah,
others. Is that something that you have? Is it,
absolutely. Always needing to feel like I have something to prove or like I want to be accepted. That was like the biggest struggle was like really wanting to be accepted by people and like, wanting to be liked.
yeah.
And that was really hard because I felt like I don't know, there's a part of me like growing up, I was friends with like a lot of different groups of kids. Like, I was a cheerleader, but I also was like friends with the skateboard kids and like, the surfer dudes and like the girls. I would like purposely find myself like plugging myself into like just getting to know different people and how I could relate to them.
You talking about wanting to be accepted and wanting to be liked. I think that's a very I mean, everyone wants that, on some level, but I think it's a really common, like, deep desire for actors,
Mhm.
that, we're constantly, like, seeking approval of others, but it's also a good place to get that because actors typically were emotional creatures and were able to connect on deep levels and, have, like, build these really, really deep bonds in a really short amount of time. I've always tried to find friends that I felt it sounds kind of sad, but it's like that I felt uh wanted me in their life as much as I wanted them in mine.
Yeah.
And growing up, I never really felt that. I always felt like, oh, my friends don't really like I'm not as essential to their life as they are to mine. Like I'm not as important. And but in our world,
Mhm.
like especially within our chosen cast, i've I feel like everyone has this like such a love for each other, and we're all there really are these strong bonds. It never feels like one-sided.
Yeah.
And it's like true dependable friendships, which is like really great.
It's so yeah, so rare and like unique, and but when you find it, it's
Yeah.
yeah, and like in my early 20s, I mean, I found myself working at some places that I did not like truly feel comfortable in, but I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like, this is fun, you're in your early 20s and you're like, I'm working at this like beach bar and I'm like wearing close to, nothing. I'm wearing a bathing suit or like, little shorts and stuff. And it's like, I
I
honestly,
applied to the same place and they
yeah,
never
I
called me back.
remember they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that,
Yeah. They were worried about me overshadowing all of y'all, so I
You just
understand,
you just
but
looked way too good in your bikini.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, I look back on those days and I'm like, "My goodness, they were so fun," but, like, gosh, it was also a lot to take in your, like, early 20s. I'm a fun, like, friendly person, but I don't necessarily wanna be, like, flirting with this 50-year-old, I'm like, I'm sorry to all the 50-year-olds out there
Yeah,
listening, but, like, as a 22-year-old, it was really uncomfortable, and not like, knowing that people are, like, staring at, like, my butt and stuff, like, it but again, when I was in it, I'm like, "Whatever,"
yeah.
Here's what it is.
Boys will be boys. Like,
Right?
it's kind
Ew.
of, yeah, it's, I know, right? It's one of those things that, like, um, I'm grateful because I grew up with my mom and my sister mostly. Like, those were the 2 people I was around 99% of the time. We went on every audition together. I went to all of my sister's singing stuff, and I remember I was like 14 or 15, and my sister's 2 years younger than me, but she, like, went through puberty a little earlier and, looked older than she was,
Um,
and I remember being at, like, singing events and 30-year-old dudes, like, saying something as she walked by or checking her out, and when
yeah,
she was, like, 12 or 13 or 14 years old, and thinking of, like, how invasive that felt just for me as her brother, so I can't imagine how it would feel being the actual woman that, or even, like, young girl that's experiencing that, and, um,
yeah,
that helped give me, that perspective on it, I feel like. As a guy, it's not something that, like, when you hit puberty and as you're getting older, it was never something I really had to worry about, the idea that other people, um, are wanting to take advantage of me and in that particular way. And it's not that men can't get taken advantage of or can't, have similar experiences, but, um in general, it wasn't something that I really had to consider much. If I'm out with friends or if I'm out a little bit later or, things like that. The difference is for women, it's like once you cross that line and you become a woman and your body starts developing and all of that stuff, then
yeah.
it becomes a whole new world of, like, you have to be aware of this kind of stuff.
I had to, like, just pretend like it's all fine, like, all of the comments and stuff that were, like, being thrown out of, like, about my body and, like, it's more than just, "Oh, you're so beautiful." Like, it was, more vulgar things, and I just remember, like, "Thanks," you have to put on this, like, show. It made me feel so uncomfortable, but on the outside, like, you would never see it. That
You're
was like
kind
a
of groomed by society to not let
Mhm.
that show, because if you do, then you're just being a dramatic woman. Like, it's that kind of, and I think it's subconscious for a lot of people and probably for you as well back then, but it's like you don't want to be a problem. You don't want to cause
Right.
an issue or whatever.
Exactly. We're like you said, we're groomed to be polite, as
Mhm.
women, like, especially like when it's a man like talking to you or like trying to engage in some sort of conversation. You don't want to come off as, for lack of better words, like a bitch.
Going into, like, the line of work that we're in now and getting to a place to where The Chosen, as it continues to grow, all of us are, going to be, put into the spotlight a little bit more and have more, it feels weird talking about, like, people recognizing us or knowing us, but
I
it's
know.
true. And but for the guys, like, when me and Joey were in DC for the event,
Yeah.
um, Joey and I never have to worry really about, that on a physical level. Like, we've even talked about, I've had, fans that get a little too handsy when they're taking a picture and they don't want to let go or things like that, and it's just kind of like, oh, it's a sweet old lady, like, it's fine, it's not a big deal. And I've seen people, like, there's whole Facebook pages dedicated to Shahar's arms and
Yeah.
things like that,
Or
but
you're the donk.
or my badonk, exactly. And I never feel unsafe or like it's this invasive thing, but
Right.
if someone did a Facebook group that's like
My
Lara
gosh.
Silva's butt,
Yeah.
then it's like that would be a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And if you're taking a picture with someone and a male fan puts his hand a little too low or holds on a little too long, it becomes a totally different thing too.
If anybody did that right now, your hand would get broken, okay? They were the perfect example, like, real quick. So when Liz and Amber and I went to high tea in Dallas,
Right.
and,
Yes.
like, I had a dress on that was, like, that showed my shoulders. I think Liz also had a dress that showed her shoulders, and then, like, Amber had a dress that, like, you could see her kneecaps, God forbid.
Right.
Um, and who
Scandalous.
cares? And who cares if she, if we wanna wear dresses that might be a little bit shorter than other people choose to wear, like,
Yeah.
and I know that some people really had a field day with that, and, like, what's great is that our chosen fans kind of defend us, like,
Yeah.
people kind of fought for us in some of the comment sections, but, like, people have to remember that, like, we're humans, we're real people behind our characters that we play. And then somebody pointed out, I think they dropped a picture of like Shahar's arms and how
It's short.
his tunic is
Yeah.
literally just as
I feel like it gets a little shorter every season. Like, eventually, he's just gonna be wearing a shirt.
yeah,
Like,
I
that's all
mean, he's
that's gonna be
wearing
left.
this for the show, and like
Yeah.
his tunic is literally a mini dress. Sorry,
It
love you,
is.
Shahar, but like it is, it looks great.
He can
But
pull it off.
nobody's having a bats an eye. Nobody is
Right.
having any discussions about how how short his tunic is.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's a double-edged sword. It's like when you do dress that way, you're either objectified or you're like, criticized for being
yeah,
inappropriate or for, like, you have to be careful what you wear because you're gonna cause men to lust and things like that.
right.
And it's like,
That was one of the comments too, and it's like, I listen, that's a problem with like, that's between them and God, like, what
yeah,
I wear and what I wanna do or the pictures that I wanna take, like, does not I'm not responsible for how you wanna feel about it, like,
yeah, exactly.
go
You know what?
go free that up.
I'm gonna uh I'm gonna borrow your dress for our premiere next month. So
Oh,
I'm gonna wear the exact same thing just so we'll see what the double standards are whenever we
yes,
post it.
I'm gonna make a slit on it so that it goes up your leg.
Okay, that'll be perfect.
More leg. We
Yeah,
need to see it. I'm excited to see you guys at the premiere.
I know. It's gonna be so much fun,
I know.
like, getting to
It's my
experience.
first time on
Me
a red
too.
carpet.
Yeah, well, apparently it's gonna be a teal carpet according to
Oh,
Dynasty.
even better.
So,
Our
but
first
yeah,
on a teal carpet then.
I already have like butterflies thinking of all of us sitting in the theater together with 4,000 people
I might
watching
poop
this.
myself. I really might
Yeah.
poop myself.
Well, both of us do have stomach issues,
I
so
was
that
gonna
is a
say we have that's like essentially like what is your limp? Well, mine is literally well, one of them because there's many, but I have ulcerative colitis and IBS, and it is
yeah,
the worst thing.
yeah.
I literally, yeah, I probably will poop myself.
I mean,
So
it's a reasonable possibility for either one of us. So, but before I end, since I always end the episodes with the question, "What do you love most about yourself?"
oh man, I know that you end it with this question. And I've like in my car, I've like thought about like, oh, what would I say when I'm on Jordan's podcast? And I honestly like would start thinking about it and then I'd be like, nope, I'm not gonna think about it right now. Next time, I'll think
Yeah,
about it tomorrow. But I'm gonna say what I love most about myself is my sensitivity and my empathy and my heart because that was those things were things that I felt so insecure about because people would make me feel like it's not okay to be look at me, I'm sensitive and I'm about to cry. People would say I had family members tell me like, "Oh, you're so sensitive. Stop it.
same. Yeah,
You're too sensitive. You need to stop it." And like there's a right way. There's a way of like strengthening people without tearing down, that side. And I think it's important to have that. I think more people should have sensitivity and it's taken me a long time to realize that, like, truly, like, within this year, like, is I mean, that's a long time to go through life thinking like, "Oh, the way I am is not good. It's not good enough." Um, like, thinking that there's something wrong with me, but, like, no, like, that is my strength. Like, that's why I'm able, I think, to connect with people and, why it is hard for me too to, like, talk about, like, myself and my upbringing and my past and like what things that I've experienced in life. Because it was a lot. Like, yeah, growing up wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
And then also being sensitive made it that much harder. Like I was the oldest sibling. So like, it was a lot. I feel like a lot of pressure was put on me and I think embracing like who I am and all of that. I'm proud of it.
You
So
should be. I wanna say I genuinely love all of those things about you as well.
thank
Even before we met in person, your empathy and your love for others was always apparent. You were always very quick to like make people feel seen and heard in the group chats, and you were always, willing to, um, give someone some encouragement or reach
you.
out to people. And then meeting you in person, that's another reason I felt like I'd already known you because of how warm and open you are. And I think that while, like we talked about earlier, some people might look down on that or take advantage of that
Yeah,
openness and that kindness, I hope that you're never discouraged from it because I think it's amazing. And I'm so happy to call you one of my dearest friends. And I'm so proud of you and the of all the beautiful work that you've done this season on The Chosen as well.
thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I have no words except I'm about to be a puddle right now. So I gotta go. No. Thank you
Well,
so much. I love you, friend. I
I
so
love you
appreciate
too.
you and your just you being here.